Hello and welcome back to another episode of the BowledOver podcast. This week we're going to be talking about the county championship as well as some cricket news and scores. But before we get into it, I'd like to explain why there wasn't an episode last week. We're trying to get some more exciting stuff for the future and there's definitely some exciting news, so stay tuned. So let's start with the cricket news this week. First of all, Jimmy Anderson is out of the Lancashire trip to Kent in the county championship. Johnny Bairstow has guided Sunrisers Hyderabad to their first win of the IPL. Dom Sibley, the England opener, will miss 2 Warwickshire games with a broken finger. Lots of county championship scores as well, which we'll go through in a minute. Karuna Ratner has anchored Sri Lanka as a reply to Bangladesh in the first test. Jofra Archer, with his hand injury, was hoping to go back to the IPL but has decided to focus on his injury and so will not return. The county championship second round is happening live at the moment. Zimbabwe have beaten Pakistan to level the series in the second T20, and there's IPL happening pretty much every day at the moment as well. Let's do the cricket scores next. On Wednesday, there was IPL action as Sunrisers Hyderabad beat Punjab Kings, and Kolkata Knight Riders and Chennai Super Kings faced off, with Chennai Super Kings reigning superior, winning by 18 runs. On Thursday, the 22nd of April, Royal Challengers Bangalore beat Rajasthan Royals by 10 wickets in another IPL match. And there's county championship games going on as well. So let's move on to today's main feature now, which is the county championship. We haven't done any analysis on this yet this season. So first, let's have a look at the 3 groups that the teams have been split into. Group 1 is Warwickshire, Essex, Derbyshire, Worcestershire, Durham and Nottinghamshire. Group 2 is Hampshire, Gloucestershire, Surrey, Somerset, Leicestershire and Middlesex. And Group 3 is Sussex, Lancashire, Yorkshire, Kent and Northamptonshire, Glamorgan. So there's quite a lot to take in there. I think for me the toughest group I'd have to say is Group 3. They've got quite a lot of historically teams that have done well in Lancashire and Yorkshire, which have the Rose rivalry as well. They've got Kent as well, which have been seen as underdogs in recent series, but I think could do quite well. So I'm going to go through the teams now and have a look at some of the standout players that I think will be very important and other things to do with the team. So let's start with Warwickshire in Group 1. I think Dom Sibley, their opener, will be very important, obviously the England player. And I think they do have a chance. Having played 2, they're tied top with Essex at the moment. I think they have a chance. Essex, we saw the last year they won the county championship. Obviously very strong and lots of big names, including Dan Lawrence, which I think will be very important, and young talent. I think he'll do well this season, but I think especially in future, he can really help take Essex to win more trophies, and I wonder if he could be captain one day. Derbyshire, they don't have many standout players, but they have lots of good all-round players. So I think they have a chance as well. They've drawn both of their games so far. Worcestershire, they're my outside chance, I would say. They're in 4th in Group 1 out of 6 at the moment. But if their opening batsmen hit form, I reckon they have a good chance. They just need to put together a few performances to give themselves a bit of confidence, which I think will be very important. Durham at number 5. I think they miss their England players, Ben Stokes and Mark Wood, when they're not playing. And I think they've got to be prepared not to have them. But I think it's a great bonus when they have them available. And Nottinghamshire, who surprisingly have lost and drawn their games, are last in Group 1. But I think Stuart Broad, they have lots of people who maybe have history. For Alex Hales, Ben Duckett, who have played for England. And I think they just need to put their experience and really gel the team together. And then if they can play well together and play to each other's strengths, I think that will be very important. So yeah, out of Group 1, I would have my top team as Essex, simply because history in the recent season shows they've done really well. And I think that will be very important, especially with their young players. Moving on to Group 2 now, we have, just to remind you again, we have Hampshire, Gloucestershire, Surrey, Somerset, Leicestershire and Middlesex. Let's start with Hampshire. I think Hampshire have won both of their first 2 games, and they're looking very strong in this season in their pre-season match as well. They've had lots of big scores, so they've had like 250 for one, for example, and loads of players have scored big, which I think is very important, and they've shown they really can get some big totals, which I think will really help as the season progresses. They just need to have enough members in their squad to keep rotating. I think their key player is their captain, James Vince, who's obviously played for England. But they've also got this season, they've got Mohamed Abbas from Pakistan, who took an excellent spell of 5 wickets in the second match. And I think he can really help them. He just needs to make sure he stays on form, doesn't get injured. I think Liam Dawson's also very important. And they've got a few young openers in Felix Organ and Joe Weatherly as well. So I think that'll be very important. Gloucestershire, I mean, typically not a team that you'd associate with being near the top, but they're second in at the moment. I think James Bracey will be their crucial player at the top of the order. Played for the England Lions, has some experience with some of the good players that Hampshire have. For example, Liam Dawson. They will know each other very well from the England Lions. But I think Gloucestershire have a chance as well. Surrey are third. They have lots of strong players, Surrey. I mean, if you just think of Ollie Pope, Ben Folkes, and they have lots of good players, and they're really good. To be honest, I think they have a really strong chance at winning. And to be honest, I would be disappointed if I was their coach, because they've lost one and drawn one. I think they should be right up there with Hampshire and Gloucestershire, pushing for the title, to be honest. I think their star player's got to be Ollie Pope, young keeper. Well, he doesn't keep that much, and he can bat as well. I think that'll be very important. Moving on down, we have Somerset in fourth. Somerset are a team that I've liked the look of for a couple of years. They used to have Don Best and Jack Leach. They lost Don Best last season, but they still have Jack Leach. And they have some good opening batsmen. They have Tom Banton and James Hildreth in the top order. And then I also think that they got into the final last year of Essex, so I think they have the potential to do well. But for me, they're an outside chance, simply because they've lost their first game and drawn. They've won one and lost one. But I think they're the outside chance. Moving on, Leicestershire now. I think when Hampshire played them in the first game, it was a bit of a surprise to see how steeply they lost. I mean, they're a good team. They've played in the Division 2 for a couple of years now, but they were pushing for promotion until the change in their groups. And I don't think, to be honest, they can win, but anything's possible with these teams, because they don't really have any standout players, and they just need to really push together if they want to have a chance. Middlesex are at number 6. I think Middlesex have lost a few of their star players in recent years, and they still have Stephen Finn, some other good bowlers, but I think their bowling unit really needs to do a lot of work for the batting unit to be able to keep up. So I think that how Middlesex manage their bowlers is going to be very important. Moving on to Group 3 now, just to remind you of the teams, you have Sussex, Lancashire, Yorkshire, Kent, Northamptonshire, and Glamorgan. Let's start with Sussex. So Sussex are a very strong team. They've got lots of star talent in Jofra Archer and some other players. I know Jofra's out injured at the moment, but I think they have a chance of winning this group. They're first at the moment, but they're tied with a few others. So I think it's going to be very close in Group 3, and I think they've got to push all the way through. I think their star player is going to be Jofra Archer, simply because of how he can worry other teams, although I would prefer him in T20 cricket rather than County Championship, but we'll have a look how he goes this season. Moving on now to Lancashire. Well, we heard earlier in the episode that Jimmy Anderson is going to be out injured for the next match. But I think if they can manage him well, they have to make sure he doesn't get injured. I reckon he'll be their star player. I mean, Lancashire have got lots of other talent, and Dane Vilas, their keeper, and I think they have a chance of winning it as well. I mean, I know it sounds the same, but I think they have a chance simply because they've been played together for a lot of years. They've not had many summer arrivals or winter arrivals, but so I think if they can use their squad well, that'll be really important. Yorkshire now, I think Yorkshire should be doing better. They should, I reckon. Well, they've drawn one and won one, but I think they've been lucky to have Joe Root so far this season, because he's not playing for England, and I think they've got to make the most of when he's there, because later in the season he's going to have to go off for England duties. I think they've got to make the most of when he's there, simply because he's their best batsman. They have lots of other talent, though, that can help them. They have some other England players that are back, but star player's got to be Joe Root, captain of the England Test team. You've just got to make sure he doesn't get injured as well, because he's their star player, he's their captain, and I don't know who else would fill that role if he left. Moving on to Kent now. I think Kent have a lot of good 4-day players. They have Zach Crawley and Joe Denley, to name a few. I think they could do really well. Their batsmen just need to score runs, as they haven't haven't done typically. I think that's very important that they get their runs, and I think that their batting will be very important for them. Their all-rounder Darren Stevens, one of the oldest players in the game, recently got into the Wisden top 5 cricketers, so I think he could be almost a secret weapon to use, really, just to surprise the other teams. But I think that could be very important. So I'm going to say Darren Stevens is a star player, simply because of his all-rounder personality, and I think he could do really well to save a match or win a match. Penultimately, we have Northamptonshire. And Northamptonshire, they haven't been a great team for a while. They played in the County Championship Division 2 for the last few seasons. And I think it will be a fight for them. They can fight their way into the top 4. I'm not sure they'll win, but maybe an outside chance. I think they've got to push their way and maybe build for next season, already looking at next season. Finally, we have Glamorgan, the only county team from Wales. I think Glamorgan, they've shocked in the last couple of years, almost been a Pakistan of the county championship game. And I think they're bottom at the moment, but if they can win some more matches, I reckon they have a chance. I reckon they could shock everyone, and I think that would be very important. They have Marnus Labuschagne as well when he's not playing for Australia, and I think he could be their secret weapon. So I'm saying Marnus Labuschagne is my star player for Glamorgan. So there we go, there's our county analysis. Before we go, I've just got a few updates for you. We have some exciting projects that we've been working on the last week, which we hope to release soon, and we'll drop details on our Twitter page, so make sure you follow us for all the latest news. Thank you very much for listening. We should be back with another episode very soon, but thank you very much for listening, and look forward to bringing you more cricket news. Thank you for listening, everyone, and we're gone. Bye.